We'll just break into the business report there because this media conference has started in Canberra with the Greens and a few representatives of the same-sex community.
For the momentum for change to allow marriage equality is just growing day by day. We've seen that in the community. We've seen leaders around the world change their view and now accepting that equality is the future, that equality is necessary. And we've also seen people's views here in this place, in the chambers of Parliament, change as well. We know that there is growing support in this place as well as outside. Next Monday, the Senate inquiry will be handing down its report into my bill, and I look forward to the debate continuing in that place as well. Yesterday, obviously, the Greens launched a campaign ad into this whole issue, really encapsulating what it is that the majority of Australians feel, that the time has come for marriage equality, that the change is inevitable, and that our political leaders, Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott, if you're not going to help, please get out of the way and let the rest of us get on with it, because this is change that is important, that is necessary and is inevitable. And rather than being on the wrong side of history, why not get in front and start working side by side with the community? Alex, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sarah.
Come in.
We know from today's findings that 64% of those respondents supported this reform. That's 177,000 people. So gay and lesbian Australians like me know we have the majority of Australians on our side. We totally welcome the fact that debate is now restarted on this important issue, and we win this debate when it's based on facts, not on fear. We know the facts are on our side. Marriage equality is a reform that costs nothing but benefits so many. It's a reform that leads to greater mental health outcomes for gay and lesbian Australians. It's a reform that will benefit the economy and will provide same-sex couples with greater security and stability in their relationships. So we will win this debate because we have facts on our side. This is a debate of facts versus fear. We'd also call on Tony Abbott to stop breaking a tradition. He went to the last election as the leader of a party that believes in conscience votes. He is breaking that tradition for the first time by denying the many people in his party who want to vote for this reform to be able to vote for that. And this is a reform that doesn't just affect people in same-sex marriages like me. It affects our whole families and our friends. And we have two mums here today from Queensland meeting with MPs to share how this reform benefits them and their families. And I'll hand over to Julie and Kath.
Oh, well, we're just here representing PFLAG, and we just want equality for our children. We want them to have the same rights and choices as everybody else, and we call on Tony Abbott to allow his party members to give them a conscience vote. From here, we're just hoping, that may happen, and should that happen, it will be just wonderful for the gay and lesbian community of Australia.
Are you meeting with Liberal MPs?
Yes, if we can,
which Liberal MPs are you hoping to meet with?
Well, we've met with several at this stage, and we put out invitations every time we come down here to meet with politicians from both sides. So,
which Liberal MPs have you met with, and what's their response been?
The response has been mixed. We just hope that as parents, when we give our story, that we're giving them something to think about.
Have you met with front benchers or back benchers?
Both, yes.
Have you met with people like Malcolm Turnbull?
Yes, yeah, we have.
Joe Hockey?
Are we going to go through the whole list? No, we've met.
Some of the key people
we have met with many of them. We've been coming down here for 12 months now. So with Shelley Argent, unfortunately, Shelley's not here at this time, so we're here on our own.
What did Malcolm Turnbull say to you?
Yeah, I'll let Sarah move in on that one.
I think we know Malcolm Turnbull, how he's approached the issue is he's come strongly out in favour of a conscience vote on marriage equality. I live in his electorate, and he's spoken to his electorate a number of times on this issue, and he's reported that he knows a majority of people within the seat of Wentworth support this. I think he really wants the opportunity to reflect his electorate's views and values on this.
Well, he's on the record saying he wants a conscience vote, so I think and this is the issue. There are more and more members within the coalition who want to be able to vote with their conscience and with their communities, and they're being denied because Tony Abbott is standing in their way. And we also have members in the government side who would be far more outspoken about this issue if their Prime Minister was backing their party's own policy. And this is such a disappointment that we have the two leaders of the old parties here in Australia out of step with what other world leaders have done, seen the facts for what they are, listened to the facts over fear, and understood that you can change your mind when it comes to putting compassion and equality in front of fear and scaremongering. And that's what we've seen with Barack Obama. That's what we've seen with David Cameron, John Key. I mean, Jeff Kennett was a staunch opposition to same-sex marriage only a couple of years ago, and he has changed his view because he recognises the benefits that equality can bring. Thank you very much.
Sarah, can we ask a quick question? The High Court challenge is about to get underway.
Sure.
Senator, I'm curious to know, how is this going to interplay with your own bill? I presume you're going to stick with your own bill to end indefinite detention, or to get an appeals process in there?
Yes, we are, and we introduced that legislation today because regardless of what the High Court may decide, and fingers crossed that that they fall on the side of the lawyer's legal challenge, but regardless, the law will need to be fixed because we know that currently the situation is that 60 people, including 6 children as young as 2, are detained indefinitely, possibly for the rest of their lives, and there's no way of challenging that, let alone understanding the reasons. So it is important that the law changes. If the High Court, regardless of their decision, we need to make sure that we can have proper fairness, due process and justice put back into the system.
Under your legislation, if the AAT or whatever body does actually decide that the ASIO has got it wrong, where would the final power reside for a final decision as to whether that person is then left out of detention or not?
It would obviously, there's 2 stages. There's the merits review into the statement of claims that has been made, and then of course with the help of the special advocate for those circumstances where the information is particularly sensitive, and we have to be realistic, these are ASIO findings, they are sensitive, then it would be up to that tribunal to decide whether those statement of reasons are in fact enough to keep that person locked up indefinitely.
Is it setting a precedent that could potentially be dangerous if you're telling ASIO, which has always been given the sole ability and the sole responsibility for security matters, internal security matters, to put its decisions up for arbitration?
It's no different than what happens for Australian citizens. All we're doing is bringing in line the rights of people who've already been found to be genuine refugees in need of Australia's protection, giving them the same ability to review and challenge the findings against them. Australian citizens have that right. These people would as well.
And Adam, what did you want to say about the Fairfax job losses?
If Fairfax proceeds with its plan to cut almost 2,000 workers from its workforce, I am very worried about the future of independent journalism in this country. Melbourne needs the Age, Victoria needs the Age. I do not want Melbourne and Victoria to turn into a place where the only quality newspaper that you can buy is run by the one person, or even worse, to have a situation where your choice in newspapers is between one owned by Rupert Murdoch and one owned by Gina Rinehart. We have a real question to face in this country as legislators, but also just generally as a public. What is the future of well-resourced independent journalism in what is increasingly a digital age? Now, I'm the first to admit that there's no easy answers, and one must always proceed with caution when it talks about you talk about the relationship between government and the press. But I think this is reaching crisis point, and I think there is something to be said for having mastheads that are well resourced and capable of conducting the kind of investigative journalism that is so essential to a democracy. If the Age or the Sydney Morning Herald or Fairfax goes under, we are all going to suffer because we rely on a diverse media and a well-resourced and independent media, and I'm deeply worried that cutting hundreds, almost 2,000 jobs out from Fairfax is going to diminish independent media in this country.
So what's the solution? Are you implying that there is a role, for example, some sort of government tax break or subsidy for broadsheets?
Look, it's a very difficult question, and there's no easy solutions, and I don't come here with one, but it's a discussion that we need to have, because if we don't, as a parliament and as a public, have the discussion about it, then we may well be watching the slow decline, if not death, of quality independent journalism on our watch. So we need to at least start the discussion. I think if we stand back and let it happen, then the quality of democracy in Australia will suffer.
Senator Conroy has pretty much given the kibosh to any sort of subsidy or help for the company, or for a newspaper company, saying that Australia's already got 2 national broadcasters, and that should be it.
Well, look, it's clear that there are real commercial issues here, and it's not up to the government to step in and run a private business. Of course that's right. But we do have to have a discussion about what you need as a minimum to have a healthy democracy. And I think as a minimum to have a healthy democracy, you need diversity in media ownership, well-resourced journalism, and journalists who are able to do things that at the moment it's pretty difficult to do just in the Twitter sphere or on Facebook alone, which is go and research stories and then publish them knowing you've got a quality independent publishing house behind you, and that's a discussion we need to have.
Well, what are your concerns with that, Gina?
That was live from Canberra. Green Senator Sarah
One of the
Hanson-Young
things
and the Greens MP Adam Bandt, along with Marriage Equality's Alex Greenwich, speaking in favour once again of same-sex marriage, calling on the coalition to allow a conscience vote on the issue. Sarah Hanson-Young was also commenting on the High Court challenge, which is due to get underway in about half an hour's time in Canberra. That's a challenge to the indefinite detention of asylum seekers deemed to be a security risk, and we'll keep across that case through the afternoon.